It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. You're listening to us in your neighborhood from coast to coast and around the world. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joan Herman, author, speaker, and your host. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. Joining me is Larry Winget, also known as the pitbull of personal development. Larry is here to discuss his no-nonsense, common sense, back-to-basics approach to personal and professional success. Larry is a New York Times and Wall Street Journal best-selling author and a member of the International Speaker Hall of Fame. His newest book is entitled Grow a Pair: How to Stop Being a Victim and Take Back Your Life, Your Business, and Your Sanity. Welcome, Larry. Thanks for joining us today.
No, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You know, Larry, as I said to you before the interview, I have a feeling that today's conversation is not going to be too touchy-feely. Am I right in that assumption?
You're absolutely correct. I do not get into all that touchy-feely, woo-woo stuff that is so popular. See, I think that's the problem with most of the self-help that is out there right now, and that it's way too much about the help, and I make it all about the self. I think life's your own damn fault. That's my overriding theme in everything that I've done. Your thoughts, your words, your actions created the life you're living. If you don't like the life you're living, then change it.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Your new book is entitled Grow a Pair. So do you believe that too many people are getting comfortable in the role of a victim?
Well, I think if there's anything we embrace right now in our society, it's the role of the victim. We love to be victims. That means it's never our responsibility, never our fault. There's always someone else to blame for our situation. Something in the world happened that caused the situation that we're living. We have a lousy boss, therefore we got fired. Never take into consideration you never bothered to show up on time or you didn't do your job. I'm born middle child, so obviously my parents didn't love me enough. Predatory banks out there ruin my credit. Forget the fact that you spent more than you had and never paid your bills. We love to play victim in our society today.
Larry, how did that happen? How did we get to this point?
No, we let it happen. We sat back very quietly and watched it happen and never did anything to stand up and fight back against it. We had parents, and see, I wrote a best-selling parenting book that says your kids are your own fault. And if I ever got pushed back on anything, it was that one, because we don't want to admit that our kids are our own fault. And we have parents who sat back and decided it was better to be their children's friend than to be their parent, to tell them, no, you can't have it. No, it's not right. We don't do those things in society, and then we raise an entire generation who believes that they're special, believes that they deserve all the good things in the world, regardless of whether they worked for them or not. We allowed this to happen. In fact, we endorsed it and created it.
So, Larry, understanding what's going on now, short of a kick in the pants, what can someone do to get out of that mindset?
You know, I think we have to get our mind away from how do I get more and focus on giving up. Now, I can tell you right now that's not a popular approach, because we are not a group of people that ever wants to give up anything. Listen, you can't have it all. You've got to choose. You've got to decide what you really want and give up the rest of the stuff. I tell people if they want to be successful, get 3 sheets of paper out. Write down on the first sheet of paper where you are, on the second sheet of paper where you want to be, and on the third sheet of paper, write down what you're going to give up to get from where you are to where you want to be. That's about sacrifice and giving things up. You see, you don't get success, you give up what's keeping you from being successful. You don't get skinny, you give up what's making you fat. You don't get rich, you give up what's making you broke. But when you start telling people they've got to give things up, they push back.
So do you think that in an attempt to achieve the goals, the things that you've just mentioned, Do you think that somewhere along the line we've given our power away? We stopped realizing just how much power we have?
Yeah, I think that that's part of it. I think people have a loss of confidence in their own ability. They get overwhelmed by how big the problems are in the world and maybe how big their own problems are. I tell people, don't only focus on what you can control. If you can't control it, don't worry about it. You know what? You can't control what the government's doing right now. I hate most of what the government's doing right now, and I can't do a darn thing about it except vote differently when it comes election time. But I don't get up every day and obsess over it and worry about it. I can't control what the price of a gallon of gasoline is, whether it goes up, whether it goes down. I can't control most of the things that people get upset about. I can't control it when some idiot pulls out in front of me in traffic. And I can let all those things ruin my day, as many people do. They sit back and say, oh, look how bad it all is, and then they play the victim again. Or I can just say, what can I control? I can control myself. I can control how much work I do. I can control my attitude toward things. That's about it.
On your website, you have a quote which I absolutely love. Do what you said you would do, when you said you would do it, the way that you said you would do it. I can't tell you how many times people will say to me, I'll get back to you on Friday with the answer. And here we are 2-3 months later, and I haven't heard from that person. How important is our word?
When they do call, don't do business with them.
Well, no, and I wouldn't. So, Larry, how important is our word? I mean, to me, that's all we have. What do you think about that?
Well, that's the most important thing I've ever said. And in fact, that's my number one rule for life and for business. Just do what you said you would do when you said you would do it the way you said you would do it. That's all anybody wants from you. That's all you want from a business you're about to do business with. That's all a store wants from their customers. That's all parents want from their kids, or kids want from their parents, or you want from your husband, or I want from my wife, or whatever. That's all we want from other people, is to do what they said they would do, when they said they would do it, the way they said they would do it. And see, the other side of that is if you don't do that, you're a liar. You are not to be trusted. You are not to be depended upon. That's the way it works. Your word is everything. Break your word, you break your trust. And when people don't trust you, whether it be a friend, a partner, your boss, when people don't trust you, you're done in this world, because trust is everything.
And then when you're done in this world, you're a victim again, and it's everyone else's fault.
Well, you probably destroyed trust because you thought you were a victim on the front end of that deal. So you didn't have to be a person of your word. Because why would you have to be a person of your word? You deserve whatever is out there, whether you tell the truth or not. See, that's the sad part of where we've gotten to.
What do you think is the biggest roadblock for business success?
I think, as I say in my book, Grow a Pair, even in business, you have to have a pair. The biggest roadblock is that we don't have businesses who understand why they're in business. I work with entrepreneurs a lot, and I'll ask them why they do what they do. And they'll say, I have a real passion for this. I've spoken to over 400 of the Fortune 500 companies, and I hear businesses talk about their passion. I say throw passion aside. It's sad when we've got to a place where we value passion over work, but we have. Passion is defined in the dictionary as a barely controllable emotion. A barely controllable emotion. I don't want that near my business. So businesses have to throw passion aside and get back to work. They have to be willing to step up and have a pair and say, listen, you're not working hard enough, and I'm not keeping you on the payroll since you don't contribute more than your work. You don't bring enough value. And they need to start firing people. They need to start rewarding the people who do a good job, firing the people who don't do a good job. They need to get clear about why they're in business. Businesses exist for one reason and one reason only, period. That's to be profitable. Because if you're not profitable, you can't employ people. You can't pay your suppliers. You can't be the kind of business somebody else wants to do business with. Businesses lack clarity of why they're in business and what it takes to stay in business. So I believe businesses should get real clear about why they do what they do.
Do you think that the same premise would apply for an employee, that person lacks the clarity to know what he or she wants out of their career?
Well, I think too many people are worried about their career when they've got a job. They're looking too far down the line. Everybody talks about, I want the perfect career. You rarely get the perfect career when you come out of college. I bet you didn't get the perfect career you wanted. Mm-hmm. I certainly didn't. I did what it took to pay my bills because I had a commitment to my commitments. I had bills to pay. So I did my job, and I let my career develop. So I think employees need to focus more on the what can I do right now today to make sure that my employer is getting everything that they paid me to do.
Now, Larry, a few moments ago, you spoke about things that are outside of our control, the economy and so forth. For someone that, in short of overspending and spending outside of their means, what do you think are the biggest mistakes that someone is making today?
That don't work from a sheet of paper. Really, it means they don't have a budget. In terms of their money, they don't have a budget. If you want to feel in control, write down and know where your money's going, know where it's coming from. I have yet to work with any individual. Well, I've been doing a lot of personal finance for a lot of years, ever since my television show. And I've yet to work with any individual where I say, show me your sheet of paper. Show me your budget so I can see exactly where your money goes. If you will just do that, it will give you a sense of power, even if you're upside down, even if you are spending more money. Now you'll know where. Now you'll know where your money is going. And that sense of power alone, that sense of control alone, can change your financial situation.
Well, Larry, you would love me because I could show you my budget.
Well, there you go. You'd be the first.
You know, I think for me, it actually came from growing up with parents that went through the Depression, and I actually listened to my father. So I think that in some way I'm living in this time, but I think some of my basic philosophies are coming from what my parents instilled in me.
Well, see, that's how it works. But see, you and I are old enough to have parents who did go through the Depression. Our kids had us, and we didn't do as good a job because we wanted to save them from all of that pain. Our parents prepared us for the pain, and then we wanted to save our kids from the pain, and now we have kids with kids, and they're doing an even worse job.
When I go out and speak to people, one of the biggest things that people mention in life, no matter what it is, that the word fear comes up over and over again, that they're so afraid of taking a chance or doing something because it's not going to have the outcome that they desire. What do you say to someone to move forward and move through that fear?
I don't even understand fear. I really don't. I'm probably the wrong person to ask that question of, because I always say, are you going to die when you do this? And they always just look at me. Really, are you going to die? Is someone going to kill you? Will you have a heart attack? If no, then why aren't you doing this? No one ever dies from asking for the sale. No one ever dies from getting their butt off the sofa where the average person spends 5 hours a day and going out and doing something that can move your life and your career along. Nobody dies from that. So why aren't you doing it? Short of death, what are you afraid of? So I'm just absolutely intolerant of this fear of failure, and I'm even more intolerant of fear of success. You're afraid to have more? You're afraid to live up to your full potential? I can't even relate to you.
Larry, before we run out of time, if you could sum up, and I think I know where you're going with this, if you could sum up your entire message to help someone grow a pair and get out there and go for life a little bit, what would you say?
I would say go to the mirror, and for maybe the very first time in your life, look yourself in the eye and say, I created this mess. I did it. My thoughts, the way I think, the words I say out loud, and the actions I take every single day are what created the life I am living. Once you take responsibility, admit that to yourself, that's when progress can start. Then get a plan. Figure out what you really want to have, and then figure out what you're going to give up to get to where you want. That's all it really takes. You're going to have to give up sleeping late. You're going to have to give up spending more money than you make. You're going to have to give up some television. You're going to have to give up all of those bad habits. It's very simple. The biggest problem I see right now is that people overcomplicate success. There's nothing complicated about success. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it's not complicated.
Larry, thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing common sense. I mean, you're saying what I think so many of us are thinking. So thank you for being here. And if you like what you heard today and you want to learn more about Larry and his work, you can visit his website, LarryWinget.com. Again, Larry, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back. Hi, this is Joan Herman, host of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Did you know that Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life has a free monthly digital magazine that can be read online or emailed to your inbox? Every month, nationally recognized leaders in their field provide information to educate, inspire, and motivate you. We believe in a holistic approach to life, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. Check out a copy of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life 24/7. Visit cyacyl.com and be sure to tell your friends. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, take part in the book club, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.